Lecture 5. Lecture 5 is about economic dispatch as a constraint optimization problem. Here we'll start with the problem formulation. We'll take objective function as a sum of generator cost function like fx1, x2. This will be a function of c. C represents the cost function. C will be a function, C1 will be a function of independent variable x1, and C2 is another cost function which will be a function of another independent variable x2. So x1 and x2 will be actually your generator megawatt output, which we will further discuss in proceeding lectures. So the equality constraint here will be W. It is represented by W, and it will be again a function of two independent variables x1 and x2, and the general equality constraint will be represented by L minus x1 minus x2 equals to 0. Here L is your any constant value. There are inequality constraints, and which are actually your upper and lower limits on your units, like we have discussed that. For example, if we have any units, it will have upper constraint and lower constraints in which we'll take values. So the upper and lower constraints will be defined by, we have two independent variables, so we'll have values x1 will take minimum value, x1 minus showing minimum value and x1 plus showing upper value. इसमें x1 के ऊपर जो मिनिमम और मैक्सिमम के दरमियान जो लिमिट में आ रही है उसको इस तरीके से रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं. इसको हम फर्दर जो है इनइक्वालिटी कंस्ट्रेंट में सब डिवाइड करके भी लिख सकते हैं, लाइक इधर जैसा शो किया गया है कि यहाँ से इस एक इनइक्वालिटी कंस्ट्रेंट से हम दो कंस्ट्रेंट्स बना रहे हैं, विच इज g1 which is a function of x1. This will be x1 minus x1 plus less than equals to 0, and g2 x1 equals to x1 minus x1 less than equals to 0. So actually we have split into two inequality constraints. So another independent variable is x2. Again it will have its lower limit x2 minus and its upper limit x2 plus. Again we will split into inequality constraints g3 and g4 in this way. It became, when we split it, it became easier for us to include into the Lagrange equation. So we'll make its Lagrange equation, because you know that whenever we have a constraint optimization problem, the fundamental task is to make its Lagrangian equation. Here we have an objective function, fx1 plus x2 is the objective function, and we have one equality constraint, so we'll have one Lagrange multiplier lambda. So this will be plus lambda w x1 and x2, and we have four inequality constraints. So inequality constraints are represented by g1, g2, g3 and g4. So the scaling variable is represented by mu. So we'll have four mu's: mu1 g1 plus mu2 g2 plus mu3 g3 plus mu4 g4. So if we put values of objective function and all the equality and inequality constraints, we'll get this equation, which is defined by c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus lambda L minus x1 minus x2 plus mu1 x1 minus x1 plus mu2 x1 minus x1 plus mu2 mu3 x2 minus x2 plus mu4 x2 minus x2. So actually this is inequality constraint optimization problem. We can solve this inequality constraint optimization problem by using the KT conditions. We have four KT conditions which we have discussed in previous lectures. So we have to follow all the four conditions to solve such constraint optimization problem. So condition 1 gives that we will take partial derivative with respect to every variable equals to 0. By doing this, we'll get this equation: c1 prime x1 minus lambda plus mu1 minus mu2 equals to 0, c2 prime x2 minus lambda plus mu3 minus mu4 equals to 0. So the second KT condition is that you will make equality constraint equals to 0. So it will be L minus x1 minus x2 equals to 0. Third equality constraint is to make inequality is to fulfill inequality constraints. So we have four inequality constraints which are defined by these equations. It will be x1 minus x1 plus less than equals to 0, x1 minus x1 less than equals to 0, x2 minus x2 plus less than equals to 0, x2 minus x2 less than equals to 0. So these are inequality constraints. We have to meet these constraints equation. Condition 4 is actually complementary slackness condition, which is defined by, which is a product of a scaling variable mu1 into a function of inequality constraint g1. So this will be mu1 x1 minus x1 plus equals to 0, and here we have to take the value of mu1 greater than equals to 0, and mu2 x1 minus x1 equals to 0. Third inequality constraint is mu3 x2 minus x2 plus equals to 0, and mu4 x2 minus x2 equals to 0. So we have to meet this complementary slackness condition, and this can be met either by taking mu equals to 0 or by taking g equals to 0. We can take either of, we have to see that for which condition this complementary slackness condition will be satisfied, either by taking mu equals to 0 or by taking g equals to 0. So we have to see this according to every problem. Here we will do its case by case analysis. For example, if we have, we will divide our cases into four. Case 1 is about that, for example, if requirement is that you have to put your optimal solution, it should be at values for x1 and x2 which are neither at an upper or lower limit. It should be between upper and lower limit but not at upper and lower limit. This means that you have to put mu equals to 0. So by making mu equals to 0, we'll get incremental cost function. The solution will be that incremental cost function should be equals to 0. So we'll get mu1 prime 1 x1 equals to mu2 prime x2 equals to lambda. So in this case, when your solution is not at either upper or lower limit, then your incremental cost of every variable will be same, and that will be equals to lambda. In case 2, the requirement is that one of the independent variables should be at upper limit and another one should be not at either of its limits. So when we put x1 at its upper limit and x2 is not at any limit, then x1 minus x1 plus will be equals to 0. And x2 is not at its upper or lower limit, so it means that your mu1 should be greater than equals to 0, and the respective other variables mu2, mu3, mu4, this should be equals to 0. We have to put that equals to 0 because that is not at either upper or lower limit. So the solution will be, the incremental cost function will be equals to, with respect to variable x1, it will be lambda minus mu1. This means that your incremental cost function c1, it will be less than equals to lambda, and your second cost function c2, which is related to your variable x2, this will be equals to 0. This will be equal to lambda. So the incremental cost for a variable at its upper limit will be always less than lambda. Case 3, the optimal solution requires, for example, that x1 at its lower limit and x2 is not at its either upper or lower limit, so it will be x1 minus x1 equals to 0, and if x2 is not at limit, then your mu2 will be greater or equals to 0, and mu1, mu3, mu4 will be equals to 0. So your incremental cost function related to independent variable x1 will be equals to lambda plus mu2. So this will give us incremental cost function greater or equals to lambda. And second cost function, which is related to independent cost function independent variable c2, it will be c2 prime x2 equals to lambda. So the incremental cost which is associated with variable at its upper limit will be now greater than lambda. Its solution will be always greater than lambda, and the other which is not at its upper or lower limit, its solution will be always equals to lambda. So if we have both variables at limits and the equality constraint is met, then the values of lambda and mu are indeterminate. We'll have x1 minus x1 plus equals to 0 and x2 minus x2 plus equals to 0. In this situation, mu1 will be always greater than equals to 0, mu3 will be always greater than equals to 0, and mu2 equals to mu4 will be equals to 0. So from condition 1, we will get c1 prime x1 equals to lambda minus mu1 and c2 prime x2 equals to lambda minus mu3. So in this case, to find the exact values of lambda and mu is very difficult. We can't find the exact values. So we will say that the values of lambda and mu are indeterminate in this case. So if we look into the overall summary of economic dispatch problem as an optimization, it will be minimize c1 x1 plus c2 x2. For example, if we have n number of cost functions, it will be then c n xn, and we have n number of independent variables. This will be subject to equality constraint like L minus x1 minus x2 up to xn equals to 0, and inequality constraints xi minus xi plus less than equals to 0, and for lower limit it is xi minus minus xi less than equals to 0, and here I will be from 1 to n. If we have more than one independent variables, then we can use this. We can use like this. So in such situation, the solution will be if xi optimum is less than equals to xi plus and xi optimum is greater than xi minus, then your solution will be incremental cost function will be always equals to lambda. And if requirement is that you have to make an optimal solution should be at its upper limit, then your incremental cost function will be always less than equals to lambda. And if your solution is such that you have to make any variable, any one variable on its low limit, then its respectively cost function will be always greater than lambda. So this is a general representation and summary of economic dispatch problem as an optimization problem, that how your solution will vary according to situation, according to your optimal point, that how your optimal point moves. Now next we have to look into economic dispatch of thermal units. Now for example, if we have an economic dispatch problem which is shown as in this figure. For example, if I have n number of thermal units connected to a common bus and this is supplying power to load. So for unit 1, input will be F1. F1 is fuel cost and its respective output will be P1. F2 is cost function for unit 2 and its respective output is P2. And this is generalized representation. So if we have n number of units, it will be Fn and its respective output will be Fn, and all these collectively are supplying power to your load. So P load is actually your demand power. So every unit should generate only that much amount of power. When we add them collectively, the sum should be equal to your P load. So in dispatching problem, we assume that that all units are in running condition, and we have to take output from each unit in a way that your overall cost is minimized. So this system consists of n thermal generator units connected to a single bus bar serving receive electrical power P load. Now how we will write our economic dispatch problem? The problem is to minimize Ft is your fuel cost function abbreviation, minimize Ft subject to the constraint that the sum of the powers generated must equal the load. Initially we will neglect transmission losses. We will say that the power generated is equal to your power demand. Mathematically we will write like this, that minimize f of t. F of t is our objective function which we have to minimize it. This will be equal to the individual cost function. So this will be f1 plus f2 up to fn, and in summation form we can write like this, fi pi, and it will subject to, first of all we will take only equality constraint. So here in power system equality constraint is represented phi, so we will take phi equals to 0. This should be equals to P load minus summation pi, means that we have to generate only that much amount of power which is required by the consumer end. Mathematical statement of the optimum is that, first of all, the objective is to make the Lagrange function, and Lagrange function is actually a combination of cost function and constraint function. So we have a single constraint function that we have to make the demand power. So it will be represented by ft plus lambda pi. We have one lambda because we have one equality constraint. We don't have any inequality constraint, so we will not take. So here that is not included. So for finding solution, we will say that you will take partial derivative of Lagrange with respect to every variable, independent variable. Here independent variables are your power outputs, pi. So we'll take partial derivative with respect to that variable, partial Lagrange by partial pi. This will be equals to dfi or dpi minus lambda equals to 0, or we can say that your incremental fuel cost function is equal to lambda, which we have discussed earlier. That, for example, if our solution is that we have to take value of our independent variables between upper and lower limit, then our solution will be incremental fuel cost equals to lambda. And partial Lagrange by partial lambda, this will be equals to P load minus summation pi equals to 0. So this is again summary, that for example if we have n number of equation and requirement is that our solution should lie between upper and lower limit, then incremental fuel cost will be equals to lambda. This will be the required solution. And for example if we have inequalities, 2n times inequality constraint, if we divide into 2, so and we have one equality constraint, that summation pi equals to P load. So for solution to be between minimum and maximum limits, it is incremental fuel cost equals to lambda. But if requirement is that we have to make one of the unit to run at its maximum value, like pi equals to pi maximum, then incremental fuel cost solution will be less than lambda. And if requirement is that we have to make any of the generator to run at its minimum value, then incremental fuel cost solution will be always greater than lambda. So this is the remainder of this course, that we shall show how these rules for the optimum can be used to actually find the optimum economic dispatch solution. Now for example, if we have generated data like this, we will take 3 units, unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. Unit 1 is coal-fired steam unit, means that it is driven by coal fuel. It has maximum output equals to 600 megawatt, and its minimum output is 150 megawatt. Its input output curve, this is actually its input output curve, which will be provided to you. It is H1 is heat rate, which is MBTU per hour, and it is defined by this equation, 510 plus 7.2 P1 plus 0.00142 P1 square. So this is actually a quadratic function. This is actually a smooth convex function. Unit 2 is called oil fired steam unit, means that this unit is driven by oil fuel. So it will have maximum output of 400 megawatt, and minimum it can give us 100 megawatt. So it can give us output between 100 and 400 megawatt. Its input and output curve is represented by H2 MBTU per hour, which is equals to 310 plus 7.85 P2 plus 0.00194 P2 square. And for unit 2 is unit 3 is again all-fired steam unit, which will operate between maximum output of 200 megawatt and minimum output of 50 megawatt, and its input output curve is represented by H3 equals to 78 plus 7.97 P3 plus 0.00482 P3 square. So these are your 3 units data. You have to remember all these values, because they will be all used, and same data will be used in most of the problems. Where the data will be changed, it will be provided to you. Now we will do example 3. This is your book example, chapter 3 example. It is example 3a. Load to be supplied is 850 megawatt. Demand power is 850 megawatt. Unit 1 per unit fuel cost is $1.1 per MBTU. You can study this like rupees. Instead of dollar, you can read like this, rupees per MBTU, because our currency is in rupees. For unit 2, fuel cost is 1.0 rupees per MBTU. For unit 3, fuel cost is 1.0 rupees per MBTU. So this is actually its individual fuel cost function, and your total fuel cost will be F1 is a function of independent variable P1. This will be H1 P1 multiplied by its respective per unit fuel cost, which is 1.1. So by multiplying this, we'll get 561 plus 7.92 P1 plus 0.001562 P1 square rupees per hour. Again, I have written here dollars, but you will read like this, rupees per hour. F2, which is a function of P2, it will be H2 P2 multiplied by its fuel cost, which is 1.0. So we'll get 310 plus 7.85 P2 plus 0.00194 P2 square rupees per hour. For unit 3, the total fuel cost F3, which is a function of P3, will be given by H3, which is a function of P3 multiplied by individual fuel cost, which is 1.0. It will be 78 plus 7.97 P3 plus 0.00482 P3 square rupees per hour. Now by using the condition for optimal dispatch, that we have to take its partial derivative equals to, we will assume that our solution lie between upper and lower limit. So our solution will be incremental fuel cost equals to lambda. So we'll take its derivative, which is very simple. It's a simple quadratic function. We can easily take its derivative. By taking its derivative and putting it equals to lambda, we will get the F1 by dP1 equals to 7.92 plus 0.003124 P1 equals to lambda. For second unit, the incremental fuel cost will be 7.85 plus 0.00388 P2 equals to lambda, and for third, the F3 by dP3, it will be 7.97 plus 0.00964 P3 equals to lambda. Because we know the solution, we know the condition, that's why we will directly do like this. Instead, that will be that equals to 0, and after that we will see the way our solution lies. It will be a difficult. Easier way is to put that equals to lambda, means that we'll make in start we'll see, we want that our solution should not be at either upper or lower limit unless it is required. If it is required, then we have to put at its upper or lower limit, but if it is not required, then we have to put our our solution should be between upper and lower limit. So this is the constraint, that sum of the power generated, this should be equals to 850 megawatt. So if we solve all the above equations for lambda, we obtain lambda equals to 9.148 rupees per megawatt hour. And then for solving P1, P2 and P3, we'll get P1 equals to 393.2 megawatt, P2 equals to 334.6 megawatt, and P3 equals to 122.2 megawatt. So we have to know that all the constraints are met. If we put the values of P1, P2 and P3 in equality constraint, they should be met. And we also have to see that our solution for P1, P2 and P3 lies within upper and lower limit. So, and when we add them, we get 850 megawatt of total. So this is our desired result. So in example 3b, this is another example. Here a little changes has been done over here. Suppose the price of coal decreased to 0.9 rupees per MBTU. The fuel cost function for unit 1 becomes, it will be F1 P1 495 plus 6.48 P1 plus 0.00128 P1 square. The other function, cost function F2 and F3, they will remain same because their cost function will remain same. Only the per unit fuel cost of unit 1 has been decreased from 1.1 to 0.9. If one goes about the solution exactly as done here, the results are lambda equals to 8.284 rupees per megawatt hour, and with this respective lambda, the value for P1 is 704.6 megawatt, for P2 is 111.8 megawatt, and for P3 is 32.6 megawatt. So if we add them, it will be 850 megawatt. But if we look into the values, P1 is above at its upper limit because its upper limit was 600 megawatt, and we are getting solution over here is 706.6 megawatt. It means that this is not the correct solution. And P3 is, and P2 is below its, so it is not P2, it is P3. P3 is below its lower limit, so we are not satisfying the KT conditions. We have to satisfy all the KT conditions. The inequality constraints should be also met. So here the inequality constraints are not satisfying. So what we will do, that we resolve this problem like this, that we put unit 1 to its maximum output, means that now this is the requirement that we don't have any other solution except that we have to put P1 equals to 600 megawatt because its value was exceeding. And unit 3 to its minimum output, the dispatch becomes P1 equals to 600 megawatt, P2 equals to 200 megawatt, and P3, which was giving us low value, so we have to put that on its low limit, which is 50 megawatt. So if we look into solution, we'll get lambda equals to df2 over dp2 equals to, because only our solution for cost function 2 will be equals to lambda, which will be 8.626 rupees per megawatt hour. Now from this we have to calculate the incremental cost for unit 1 and 3, and we have to see either the conditions are met or not. So we take incremental cost function df1 or dp1, we get 8.016 rupees per megawatt hour. And if we look into the incremental fuel cost of unit 3, this will be df3 by dp3, which is 452 rupees per megawatt hour. So for unit 1, the incremental cost function for unit is less than unit, so unit 1 should be at its maximum. But if you look into unit 3, it's not, it should be greater than, its solution should be greater than lambda, but here it is not satisfying it. So if it is not satisfying, so we cannot put unit 3 at its minimum value, or we can't force it to be on its minimum value. So what we will do, we'll again resolve it by only putting our unit 1 on its maximum limit, which is 600 MHz, because it was satisfying the solution, but unit 3 was not satisfying the solution. So what we will do, we will only put unit 1 on its upper limit, and the rest of the two should be not at either its upper or lower limit. So we will take df2 by dp2 equals to lambda and df3 by dp3 equals to lambda. So we will get p2 plus p3 equals to 850 minus p1 equals to 250 megawatt, which will result in lambda equals to 8.576 rupees per megawatt hour, and here from here we get P2 equals to 187.1 megawatt and P3 will be equals to 62.9 megawatt. Now you can see that the KT conditions are satisfied. P2 is also within its limits and P3 is also within its limits. So the values are correct now. So now the incremental fuel cost for your unit 1 will become 8.106 rupees per megawatt hour, which is less than lambda, while df2 by dp2 and df3 by dp3 both are equals to lambda. Now the KT conditions are met, and this is our desired result. That was all about lecture 5. Thank you very much.